contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Bring in Willie Lora now, who runs our CDM Espanol. My friend, how are you? Where in the world is Willie Lora today?
I'm good. How are you? And good morning. I'm in Costa Rica, in San Jose, Costa Rica. I just flew in from Houston a couple of nights ago. How are you?
Oh, well, man. Well, we need to have coffee in Miami again soon. But
yes, we need to. We need to.
Some other beverage. I wanted to get you on because there's a lot going on in LATAM that's not being talked about, my friend. And the big one, I think, even Rubio said this the other day, is the problem in Venezuela with Guyana. Do you know much about that? It's going down.
The thing is, like, after the incursion of some Venezuelan soldiers into Guyana, the tension has risen up a lot. Obviously, it is a national security issue for the U.S. It's trying to maintain peace down in South America. We have some other problems in Colombia. You know, there's news that the president, the former Secretary of State, or the former, from Colombia, that said that the president is actually a drug addict. And, on top of all the things that are going on in Colombia, so they don't want any situation in Guyana and Venezuela. And obviously, everybody knows what the Maduro regime has been doing and what they're up to. They're pushing more socialism and communism in South America. So obviously the U.S. and the State Department, they don't want that to become a problem. So that's what the comments from the Secretary of State. I don't think it will probably go beyond what he went. I think Maduro wants to stay in power, and he knows if he does things like that, like getting troops into another country, that will invite an international force led by the U.S. to try to get him out of power. So he probably doesn't want that attention right now.
So, I think that there's alert, U.S. forces on alert to go into Guyana if that happens. That's what we don't want is, who knows what the larger agenda is on the globalist side to keep the U.S. involved in different conflicts. This could even be kind of a false flag to get a war going. You never know.
Southcom has, they're on top of that, I believe, because of the conversations going on between Russia, the U.S., and Ukraine. Maduro's probably thinking, hey, do I really want to do this and try to get the Russians involved? Because the Russians have been supporting Venezuela. But the Russians, they have a bigger fish to fry. The Russians want to have a good relationship with the U.S. They want to have a good relationship with President Trump. And the first term, it was shown that they actually had a good relationship. So, and Russia, their economy is not doing great. There's been a lot of people dead from this war. This needs to stop. And I think the president is right about saying, let's stop the killing and let's figure something out. And I think the Russians understand that, and Vladimir Putin knows that it's better to have a good relationship with Trump and stop the conflict and try to negotiate a settlement than actually going after Maduro and supporting Maduro and whatever crazy things he wants to do. Yeah. And in terms of their foreign policy, I think that Putin right now is in a better footing talking to the U.S. and try to end this war than get into another conflict in South America.
I completely agree. I just think maybe it's some kind of negotiation pressure point, either by China or it could be Russia or otherwise.
It could be right. Yeah.
Same thing in India. I think that's what's going on. Is China has started that conflict, probably funded the terrorists who killed those guys in order to get a big war going in Southwest Asia, and again pressure the Trump administration. So let's switch to Mexico. A lot of cross signals going on as to what is going on between Mexico and the U.S. The tariff issue, the fentanyl, the cartels, the government, which is completely communist. But what do you think's going on inside of Mexico right now?
The problem with Mexico is actually worse now in terms of how much control the cartels has over the political institutions, the military, the security apparatus. It's infiltrated by the cartels, and we've seen how much terrain they're gained in the past few years, especially in the border side. When the last 4 years they were using the border to traffic for human trafficking, fentanyl, and all that, they were controlling the entire area. It wasn't the Mexican military. And after after the past administration said, look, borders will be open. Go to CBP-1. We'll let you in. We'll give you a date with the court and say 7 years. So it was like an open season. So my understanding with the numbers was like the cartels made about $3 billion every year. I think it was every year during the past administration just by trafficking people. Actually became a very competitive business. Yeah, that's big money. It became very competitive with the drug trafficking human. Remember that there was about 350,000 kids that actually the Biden administration lost in the U.S. because of the traffic. The traffickers will bring them over to the border, ship them in, and they'll ship it somewhere else in the U.S. So the Biden administration lost track of about 350,000 kids, which is insane. So it's big. It was big money for them, and everything that has to do with trafficking, drugs, fentanyl, and all that, they control all that. And you're seeing the killings with the police and the chapitos and all that, just taking a lot of the headlines because they're controlling a lot of part of the country. And that's what, like President Bukele says, it's like, I don't understand how a government allows a criminal organization to control part of your country. It's a good question for the president of Mexico. That she wants hugs, but not bullets. That's kind of like what she says she wants. Nobody wants bullets, but you're not going to get any peace with the cartels. They actually after money, and they will kill to get money, and they will do all kinds of things to get money.
So is she just kind of is she working with them? Is she ignoring them? Is she doing both? I mean, she's kind of like continuation of the past president. The same policies, leftist policies, and it's not that she works for this. She doesn't have any other option. Her option will go in a full war against the cartel. She's not going to do that. She knows that the cartels have so many different ways to get back to her, and the family members and members of the cabinet. I don't know if you remember when the attack that happened a few years ago to the head of Mexican security, right in Mexico City by the cartels, and they killed the bodyguards and all that. He survived by a miracle. So they actually send her a message that we can do what we want to do, where we want to do it, and when we want to do it. That's how much power and money they have. So
you mentioned Bukele, and I know you have connections there. How did he get so effective? Because he had the same threats. It was a leftist country. There was a communist, revolution there. I mean, how did he get so effective? Is it just personal willpower? Or
one of them is that, but the other issue is like he didn't when he won the election, he did not owe any political favors to any party, even to the U.S., and that's why he has such a bad relationship with President Biden and the Democrats, because they were thinking that, well, we're going to control this guy, we're going to continue to push our agenda, we're going to continue to fund it, and he said, no, I don't owe you any favors. It's like what I'm going to do is, I promised the country that I was going to eradicate the gangs and the cartels, and he turned around and got the military into the things that they needed to do. They went after them and captured the majority of them. And he was criticized because of the way that he did things, but not because of the results. The results are pretty clear. The country, 90 to 92% of the country supports what he's doing, and will continue to support it because. So anybody who's gone to El Salvador in the past 10 years, they'll know the difference as to when you used to go there, and I used to go there and go to the hotel, go to work, and back to the hotel. I couldn't go anywhere. A lot of people couldn't go anywhere because it was so difficult to be around when you didn't know when you were going to be kidnapped, and any of these things were happening. Lots of killings. And I don't know if you remember that the week before he was going to enact this new guidance of like the way that he was going to treat the gangs, there was like 68 people killed in one day just to try to pressure him to stop, and he didn't buckle. He was like, no, I'm going forward, and he did it. Then what's going on now is a lot of these countries in Latin America are thinking about applying the same thing. It's like if you have the military power, you have the might of the state. It's how easy that you're letting gangs and organized crime take over a portion of your country. Yeah. So that's kind of like what he's been saying. He went to DC, and we were there for the CPAC when he said it clearly. It's like it's not coming back. we stopped, and it needs to stop. And I think that's what actually have gained in the position where he is right now, when he's saying, look, I can say to the world that we were the most violent country in the Western Hemisphere in the world, and now we just one of the safest one in the Western Hemisphere, even compared to the U.S., which is incredible.
Yeah, it is. He's been a shining light for sure. What about, let's turn to the U.S. now. Actually, can you stay for one more segment? Do you have another?
Sure.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Skiff. I'm here with Willie Lora, who runs CDM Espanol. Check that out if you're interested in the Spanish press. We're taking back that market. Willie, I just got some news out that the Spanish electricity grid was linked to a rare atmospheric phenomenon. Temperature shifts in Spain caused induced atmospheric vibration and disruptions. I think that's called a cyber attack.
What a nice way to put it. I was reading about it earlier. It's like not only Spain, but a lot of countries in Europe actually went dark. And they say that we're going to take a little bit of time to bring it back. But that's a really nice way to put it. I was like, wow. Yeah. Europe is facing some cyber attack. That's what I've been hearing and reading this morning. But this is something that in a way was expected. They've been trying for a long time to do this sort of thing, not only in Europe but also the U.S. It's a cyber war that we're facing right now. There's actors that they want to break down countries like Spain, like the U.S. Using new technology. So this is something that we knew was coming. We just don't know how big it's going to be and how else they're going to do it. But we're seeing it, and what's happening this morning in Europe is basically it's basically that. It's just another attack into the infrastructure in another country, and hopefully this is something that the U.S. and Europe can work together. It's one of the things they can work together to prevent, and that will be a good thing. But yeah, this is something that was suspected that was going to happen at some point.
So I want to switch to the U.S. The gangs or in the deportations in Colorado, there was a big bust overnight.
Yes.
Is Trump being effective right now against this?
Extremely effective. And one thing is, like, even in Latin America, everybody's paying attention to what's going on in the U.S. with the justice system and how the judges are being involved, becoming a full opposition party to the president, minimizing what we know the separation of powers. That some people in Latin America, they can't believe that a district federal judge can actually enact or stop a national policy coming from the executive. Is something that they always said that they've never seen the U.S. and they're watching it. How effective Trump he's been with the deportation issue, very, very effective. And the proof of that is that ABC this morning came out with a poll saying that Trump has the lowest approval rating in 100 years, which everybody knows is a lie. But you need to change the narrative. And that's where the media is invested in trying to change the narrative. It's like, if he wasn't doing so well, they would not be doing this. And that's something. That's how you can measure how effective it's been. It's like the other news that you're not going to see the headline is like the person who actually allegedly stole the purse of the secretary, DHS secretary, Kristi Noem, was an illegal alien. Yeah. You're not going to see that on the headlines, and that's why the president probably doesn't care. He's like, but we're going to see that at the press briefing. They'll be asked and they'll laugh because unfortunately the traditional press, has gone way too far in terms of protecting an administration that was the worst administration we had in history, and actually doing the big work for the Democrats as usual with this administration. The difference between this term and the first term is like the media had a little bit of credibility. Now they lost all of it. And this time, in the second term, the president knew exactly what he was going to be facing. And he knew that all the stories, the same thing with stories with Pete Hastings and the whole thing with Signet and blah, blah, blah. Because people were asking me in Latin America, in some circles, like, okay, so the people that actually have the secure line, the communications in the Pentagon, and we're doing all this thing through the security to secure lines, they actually had an embarrassment in Afghanistan. They got 13 soldiers killed. And on top of that, they actually fired a missile from a drone to an innocent person who was driving, going to work, to justify their failure. Yeah. So I'd rather have somebody that isn't signal and being effective in Yemen against the Houthis than having somebody working with a secure line and actually making a mess of our military. So, and those are the kinds of things you see. Well, when they want to get rid of somebody, they will do those kinds of things. That let's use the media to actually trash somebody. And that's the worst part. And I talked to I just came from Houston. I was talking to some colleagues there, and they were saying, I don't know what's going on. Like, this whole press thing is just ridiculous. I don't know if you saw that the White House correspondent did. It was like, people are freaking out. It's like, well, there's nobody here from the White House. It's a different thing. It's like, well, it used to be porn at the prom for journalists. Like, no journalist will go. Some journalists will go, but it was mostly Hollywood people that would go to those things. I went to those things for 20 years. And I know exactly what it was. I was there when Barack Obama said to President Obama said to President Trump, now it's like, at least I will be a president, like challenging Trump that he wasn't going to be a president, and he became president twice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Obama, he's irrelevant too. So speaking of irrelevance, your old business, by the way, you run CDM Espanol for CDM. Fantastic website. I mean, the content's really cool, well done, well put together, a lot of good reviews. What's happening to your old? I mean, you built CNN Espanol. What's happening to your old network?
Oh, that is part of this history. Zero credibility. They're close to be shut down. A really small operation. The thing is, like, when Jeff Zucker came into CNN, he made sure that his vision was on national news, and especially being the person that the Democratic Party was going to go to. So everything in terms of programming became that an outfit for the Democratic Party. Same thing happened for CNN Espanol, and most of their affiliates in Latin America dropped their affiliation. They were not interested in partisan politics. They wanted to get the content that CNN used to provide. CNN Espanol, journalistic piece from all these countries around the region. They stopped doing that. They became an outfit just to do political opinion, obviously favorite to one party, and it ends. So right now it's relevant. Like, nobody watches it, and it's pretty sad because it took us a long time and many years and many efforts and a lot of great people to build it to actually become what it is today.
Well, now you're applying that attention to CNN or CDM Espanol, so we appreciate that.
Yes,
Will.
And what we did when we were in Houston, besides publishing really good articles, we interviewed this attorney, Rick Ramos, who specializes right now in immigration and also personal injury and some different line of work legally in Houston. But we concentrated on that interview to talk about the new immigration policy from the White House and what the Trump administration has been doing, and the impact that this new policies had on the community. And it's a great interview. I'll ask everybody to go and watch it. It's on cdmespanol.com. We published that interview there, and I sent you a copy. I interviewed him also in English for you, so you can publish it on CDM.
None of that. We'll get that out.
Yeah, because it is important how he puts it. He's like, look, and he's very clear. The last administration did the worst possible thing to the U.S., opening the borders, like the worst thing that has happened. It's like, and now they're trying to get 20 million people that came in to go in one by one and get a case in court. It'll take 400 to 500 years. Like, it's insane.
It's impossible.
What happened? It's like, so it's a good interview. I asked people to go and watch it. It was a pretty good conversation.
What else is going on? Anything else you want to get out to the public, my friend?
But I think the situation in Colombia is going to continue to give headlines. It's a country with a lot of problems now, with a president that is being told that he's a drug addict, and that's interesting because Colombia is a big partner for the U.S. and the whole fight against drug trafficking. The other story that we're covering is that investigation in the Dominican Republic, is that discotheque that the roof collapsed and killed 231 people. A few weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, there's baseball players, famous singers, a whole bunch of people die. So the investigation is continuing in a fast pace. So we're going to cover that. So those are the things we're following. And obviously the U.S. continues to be a newsmaker for us in terms of not only immigration policies, but also the economy, jobs, security, education, all those sort of things. So we'll continue to cover that.
Last question. Self-deportation. I forgot to bring that up. Do you think that's happening? Do you think
it is? Surprisingly, it is because the option is like we'll pick you up and we'll like the raid in Colorado. We'll pick you up and we'll send you out, and you won't be able to come back. But if you leave, if you self-deport, then you have the option to submit another application and try to come in legally. At least you'll have that option. So that's why we're seeing surprisingly that a lot of numbers are coming in to deport themselves. Remember that this application CBP1 was used for 4 years to allow people in without any question. It just by saying, I'm a political refugee and that's what I want. And they will let you in, no questions asked. They'll put you on a plane, give you money, cell phone and all that, and send you to another city with a court date 6 to 7 years ahead. So I think it's a great thing, and the president was actually able to turn it around, and hopefully those numbers will increase. But yeah, it's having an impact, it's having an effect.
Willie, thank you very much, my friend. We'll have you back down the road. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Enjoy Costa Rica. Ciao. Bye.
Yes.